Hi, this is Marilyn Woodruff with At Knits and Designs, and I'm here today to demonstrate the knit yarn over knit that is the beginning and end of each right side row in the Summer State of Mind shawl. So when we're on this row, it's always going to be the third stitch in. You're going to have 3 selvage stitches on every right side row. The first one you're going to knit normally. The second, once you establish it, is always going to be a yarn over, so you're going to knit it through the back loop to close that yarn over. And then the third stitch, you're going to knit yarn over knit into a single stitch. So we're going to knit the stitch normally, but instead of pulling the stitch off, you're going to immediately do a yarn over and then put your needle back in and knit that same stitch one last time. So you're going to increase 2 stitches every time you do this knit yarn over knit into a single stitch. So then on the stockinette rows, we will knit to the last 3 stitches. And then we get to the third stitch from the end, we're going to once again do another knit yarn over knit. So we're going to knit into that stitch just like a normal knit stitch. And then instead of sliding it off, we're going to yarn over our right needle and then knit into that same stitch one more time. And then we'll finish the row out by knit through the back loop, knit 1. The next section we're going to look at is the lace short row section. So this is the first section of the short rows. I've done my knit 2 together yarn over 25 times, and now we are ready to knit 1, which I did right here, and we're ready to turn. And then we're going to work German short rows on this particular side. Anytime we do the knit 2 together yarn over, we'll be doing a German short row double stitch. So when you turn, you literally just turn your work over. And then we're going to work that German short row double stitch, which I've indicated as DS, on this first stitch right here. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to slip this stitch to the right hand needle, and then we're going to pull this working yarn over as if we're going to knit. And you see how this makes 2 little legs on your stitch. You're just going to keep pulling it right on around the needle to where you're going to have a stitch that looks a little bit like 2 stitches, but when you turn over your needle, you can see it's really just the 2 legs of the stitch. And then we're just going to purl back. And if you can pull that really tight, then you will close up the gap that happens right here. You don't want this double stitch to be loose. And we come back on row 3, and row 3 tells us to knit 2 together yarn over to 1 stitch before that DS we made on the previous row. So I've come to my last knit 2 together yarn over. This is the stitch before, and this is that little double stitch that we made back on row 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like this is just 2 normal stitches, and we're going to knit these 2 stitches together. So to resolve this one, you're going to knit both of these legs as if it's a single stitch. So I'm going to knit both legs of the double stitch and that single stitch, all of those things together on the needle at one time. My yarn is wanting to split here. So I've got both legs of the double stitch and that 1 stitch that came before it. I'm going to knit all 3 of those legs together. And then I'm going to do a yarn over. And I'm going to use this double stitch as a point instead of putting in a marker. I'm just going to use this one, and now I'm going to do a knit 2 together yarn over 10 more times. So I'm going to knit 2 together, yarn over 1, knit 2 together, yarn over 2, and I'm going to do this 10 times, and then I'm going to turn and I'm going to repeat the DS. And this is how you'll work the knit 2 together yarn over side of the short rows. All right, well, we're back with the lace short rows part 2. You're going to use stitch markers rather than a double stitch to indicate where you are going to turn, and you're actually not going to do anything to resolve the short rows. You're simply going to slip a stitch from the left needle to the right needle and continue working as if it wasn't a short row at all. And that will change when you get to row 13. You will do a double stitch again because this is where we are moving back from the lace into a stockinette and a garter section. So when you get to the end of row 12, you will purl to marker A, and then you'll turn. So I've just purled to marker A, and I've removed marker A. Then I've purled one, now I'm turning. And now we have to work a double stitch, but this time, that same double stitch that we worked before is now on the knit side of our work rather than the purl side of our work. So we have to work this double stitch slightly differently than we did in the earlier section. So for this double stitch, before you slip it to the right needle, you're going to pull your yarn forward, and then you're going to slip that stitch. And that way you can take this yarn over, and you can see how it's pulling the stitch below into that double stitch. So you're just going to pull that very tightly, and then you're just going to continue knitting, and you're going to knit to the last 3 stitches.